Panel, of course, of this Parliament. That was a marathon. So we have Tom Tugendhat, the MP, the Conservative MP, with a whopping great majority in Tonbridge. Thank you for joining us. We have, of course, Jack Dromey from the Labour MP for Birmingham Erdington, with a slightly smaller majority than Tom, shall we say? But let's talk about that in a moment. And Hannah Bardell, the MP for Livingston, who managed to turn 10,000 into 16,000, 10,000 definitely 16,000 in 2015, and who indeed actually competed and finished a marathon that lasted in nearly the same time as that PMQs.
Six times as long.
OK, 6 times long, but there we go. Right, so let's get down to business. Why can't we have that type of debate, Tom Tugendhat, on air? I mean, the Prime Minister seemed quite comfortable there. Why don't we just have more? Does she not want more of that?
I mean, to be fair, we've just had... for the, I can't remember how many, it's 18 months now, almost every week we've had this debate on TV for between, as you rightly say, half an hour and 45 minutes. And consistently we've seen the same thing. We've seen one side offering leadership, offering clarity, offering vision, and Theresa May really setting out why it is that the Conservative Party is ready to rule and ready to conduct the negotiations that are going to shape our generation. And on the other side, you've got the most extraordinary sight of a man who couldn't lead his way out of a paper bag and yet can't even crowdsource questions and ask them properly.
So, Jack, Jeremy, I mean, you're not going to be featuring Jeremy Corbyn too much in your material in Erdington?
He's leader of the Labour Party, and any Labour government is better than any Conservative government. Just to give you one example in my constituency, every single school, bar one, is losing out under Theresa May's education funding cuts. However, Windsor and Maidenhead is actually gaining. So that cannot be right. Now, at the next stages, we've got a big job to do in terms of convincing the country that we're a credible alternative government. But I tell you what, her hubris ignores two things. First, the Tories are not loved out in the country. And secondly, the fear of what an ex-Tory voter said to me at the weekend, a Tory tyranny. If she gets it all on her own terms at the next stages, what kind of country will this be?
So your leader in Westminster, Angus Robertson, mentioned this issue of pensions and triple lock.
Yep,
well, you're going to guarantee that.
Well,
where are you going to get money from?
It's a very clear indication of why we absolutely must do everything we can to stop an unfettered, hard-right Tory government, because they have, lied to the country. In 2014, Scotland was promised all sorts of things in the independence referendum.
So
it was placebo max,
it's their policy.
HMRC jobs, pensions being guaranteed. And what we have seen is the triple lock is potentially going to go. She has no answers. She has no plan. We already know that the Conservatives have no plan if there's no deal for Brexit. They had no plan before Brexit. They can't be trusted, and it's blatant opportunism on the part of Theresa May. And some of the worst aspects of this Tory government, in terms of the rape clause, in terms of the WASPI women who are being denied their pensions, who are, in fact, Theresa May's...
This is the tax credit clause.
And the WASPI women are Theresa May's generation. She is doing this to the women of her own generation, and I think that is particularly pertinent. And what people in Scotland will absolutely realise is that it is going to be a straight fight between the SNP and the Conservatives. 3,000 women in Erdington, 30,000 in Birmingham. The people who built Birmingham and Britain now being shortchanged on their pensions. Absolutely wrong. These are the things that the SNP have stood up against consistently.
Let's not forget, it was introduced under a Labour government to equalise the age of retirement, and it was then softened, funnily enough, under a Conservative government. And what?
The SNP have had to do the Conservatives' job for them.
What Hannah is missing is a very, very simple fact, which is that the SNP campaigned to delay having control of welfare in Scotland until 2020 because they didn't want to have to make these tough decisions. Because actually they have absolutely the power to make the difference on these welfare changes, but they've chosen not to.
I'm sorry, I am not going to sit here and accept those lies, because first of all, we are setting up a completely new social security system.
Have we now got an SNP promise? Have we now got an SNP promise that says that you're going to absolutely guarantee?
You know fine well that those powers are coming to Scotland. It takes time to set up systems,
Hannah,
and we are having to
offered in 2017 and you delayed until 2020.
We're having to fix the mess that the Conservative government are making. Why should we in Scotland have to clean up the mess time after time of the Conservative government, when instead what we should be doing is having the power to protecting the powers?
Let's just talk about the triple lock. Okay, they said their piece about the triple lock.
Look, it's very, very clear, Faisal. It is absolutely clear that if you want pensioners to do better, you vote Conservative. Just look at what government has done. Look at what our government has done over the last 6 years. Look at the difference.
This is an election for the next 5 years.
Look at the difference. Look at the difference from 2010 to 2017, and tell me honestly what you see. You see pensioners
we're
better able...
We're talking about the manifesto, we're talking about a commitment...
I'm not writing the manifesto, Faisal. I'm telling you what we've done. I am telling you what we've done, and I am telling you very clearly that pensioner poverty is, thank goodness, much reduced in this country because of what Conservative administrations have done. And they've done it for a very good reason. We are the party that recognises what that generation has given to our country. It was
a Conservative policy, but I think it's quite important.
Hang a second, Faisal. The straight answer to your question is they will no longer guarantee the triple lock. That sends an unequivocal message to pensioners.
I didn't know you were writing the manifesto, Jack.
It sends an unequivocal message to pensioners. Vote Tory and you will lose the guarantees that you've got at the moment.
Well, hang on a minute. Also, does anyone remember how much the triple lock was actually costed at the first time it came into the budget? It was 400 million a year. And do you know how much the OBR say it costs at the moment? 5 billion. Yes. So are you saying that you have the money to pay out these pensions, both for yourself?
Funny enough, we seem to have money to refurbish the House of Commons and spend billions of pounds on that. We seem to have the money.
No, but we're not having an honest argument here. I mean, the honest truth with the Conservatives is you're thinking about whether this is a promise you can afford, and you can't say that.
What I'm telling
you guys can't say where you're going to get the money from.
I'm telling you,
Faisal, wait until the manifesto. We will. Every pledge we make will be properly costed because the British people need to have confidence in what we're saying. But it's about different priorities. You would cut corporation tax, just like in the last Parliament. You cut,
because it raises money.
You cut tax for top earners.
It raises money.
Our priority
our
priority, amongst others, is the people who did build this country and who deserve better in the twilight of their years.
Tom, come back on this issue of what it is that you need to get in terms of this larger majority, because a number of U-turns have happened over the past couple of years because you have a small majority, frankly. Things like the tax credits.
Well, I was against, as you know.
I know, but if there's a majority of 100, then those types of mistakes, as you say they are, would not have been able to be.
I'm sorry, I simply don't accept that. What we're looking
made them in the first place.
Exactly right.
If George Osborne and David Cameron had a majority that Theresa May seeks, we'd have had the tax credits.
I'm not going to rewrite history. What I'm looking at is the future. And when you look at the future, what you've got to look at is how the country is sitting today and what are the problems facing it. And the fundamental problem we're facing is the need for stability to take us through the most complex negotiations our nation will have
been through.
How many votes
have you lost?
Absolutely clear that what we need the Prime Minister to know that she's got a full 5 years going forwards and a full stable 5 years, so that when she sits across the table from probably Macron, we hope it's Macron, not Le Pen, and when she sits across the table from Merkel, she will find herself properly stable, knowing that she's got 5 years.
Meantime, 24 of your MPs are under investigation.
It's not just the majority.
That's quite an accusation to make. I mean, nobody's been charged.
Yeah, they're under investigation, and it's a complete distraction. She wants to buy herself more time for Brexit. Well,
two of yours have had to stand down because they have actually been charged.
No, that is not the case. And I think if you find out, so we have 24 Conservative MPs currently under investigation. The Prime Minister is trying to detract from that. She's trying to buy herself more time on Brexit because she has no idea what she's doing and she has no plan.
Do you have any proof for that?
But she is preying on a weak opposition, and you never want your strengths to be your opponent's weaknesses. And look at what she's done. Tom Blenkinsop rightly raised... No, I haven't. But interesting that one of your own colleagues raised the matter of proper funding for the armed forces.
And many of us are campaigning for it. And that's absolutely right. And we're delivering it.
40,000 soldiers have gone under your government, and you're an honourable ex-soldier. But what it comes down to in terms of why is she going for an election now is this is about the interests of the Conservative Party. Let me finish, Tom. Tom, let me finish. This is about the interests of the Conservative Party and not the country.
Jack, you're an honourable man, and
it's going to get more and more difficult for the Conservative Party over Brexit because of the divisions within their own ranks. And what she wants is a bigger majority.
Jack,
so
you're a
that
deeply honourable man, and I know you know that the reason she's going to the country now is because there's a gap in the European timetable, and the negotiations can't really start until after the German elections in October, November. So what she's doing is she's using that gap when there can't be negotiations to make sure she has a full 5 years forward, because that full 5 years means that we will have stability